Okay, folks, thanks for your indulgence. It just took me a couple extra minutes to log on. Let's call to order the Open General Purposes Committee meeting. May I have a motion on the minutes? Moved and seconded. Discussion, all those in favor, post carried. Then we have the housekeeping amendments, dog licensing, animal control, et cetera. Moved and it's seconded. For staff, did you have anything to add to your report?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Any comments? Councillor Liu.
Thank you. Through the chair, just question to staff. I see that we're raising the required age of 8 weeks to possess a dog license to 6 months, which aligns with veterinarian best practices for spaying and neutering. And I was just at the Super Dogs and asking about spaying and neutering, and apparently there's another school of thought that suggests that especially for larger breed dogs, they're waiting a whole year. And so I'm wondering, does it maybe make sense for us to have like a puppy license for the first year and then people move forward from there?
Through your worship, to Councillor Liu. One of the recommendations in the dog licensing bylaw is for geriatric and puppies. So they would be given a spay or neuter license regardless of not being spayed or neutered.
Okay.
Which would carry them for the 1 year.
Okay, but they don't need to have it until 6 months?
That is correct.
Okay, I see where we're going with
But
this. I think I'm mixed up.
Okay. Councillor McPhail, Linda?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to staff. Well, thank you for the report. And I just have a question about financial impact. I noticed the report doesn't mention that. And just given that we'll be giving, hopefully, the discount to more people, are you thinking that this will encourage more people so it will be revenue neutral? We won't be losing money, but perhaps it will be revenue neutral in the end?
Through your worship to Councillor McPhail, yes, the point of the amendments is to encourage spay and neutering, which should bring our balance out to nullify any loss.
All right, thanks very much.
Councillor Wolf. Michael?
Thank you, Your Worship. 2 question areas to staff. The first one it relates to one of the proposed additions. So that's on our page GP12, the proposed amendments. The first one is violation for barking dog. And so I note later on in the attachments that the dog barking has to persist for over one half an hour of time. And then on page 23, it talks about the penalty of $200. So I know during these last few years, I've heard a lot of complaints from people who live beside places where dogs are constantly barking. I guess my question about this one is leniency for like first-time offenders, or like, are we recording addresses? And if it's the first time we're called there, maybe it's a warning, and then beyond that, no more warnings, or what's staff's take on that?
Through your worship to Councillor Wolf, the proposed amendment to add the barking dog to the animal regulation bylaw is removing it from the current location of the noise bylaw. So we've taken the current bylaw of barking dog with the 1/2 hour of continuous barking and just transplanted it over to the animal regulation. The current, and that includes the fee, the current administration of that bylaw is first-time offense, SPCA attends, an officer attends, they speak to the owner, they hand them a guide on regulations for barking dogs and give them the attempt and the skills to stop the dog from barking or help to attempt to stop it. The second offense, a ticket, would be issued as per officer discretion. A log is required to be kept by more than one person. It must disturb more than one person within the neighborhood, the barking dog, for the actual violation ticket to be written. So the purpose is to gain compliance through education. That's always our first step.
Great, I appreciate the clarification on that. Through your worship, my final question relates to the bottom on our page, GP23. It's about the people feeding pigeons or other birds. So just last week, I was attending an event at the Sharing Tree Farm at the south end of Gilbert Road. That I would say is the most common area I see people feeding pigeons in the city. But I encountered a family that were feeding seagulls, large seagulls, and they're feeding them all sorts of stuff from their picnic basket. And so I told them that it's illegal. But my question is, for these problem areas, could we put up temporary signs as well? Because I think these parents, if their children were of age to read, if the kids could have read the sign saying "Do not feed the birds," they would have said something, and it wouldn't have happened. So, does staff address those with temporary signage at all?
Through your worship to Councillor Wolf, currently any signage requests would be coming through if it's on Parks land, it would be coming through the Parks Department. We could speak to the Parks Department to see about putting up more signage, but the feeding of seagulls is feeding of wildlife. It can certainly be taken under consideration to put up signage.
All right, speak to the parks people about that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. I'm so thrilled to see this, in particular, the break that you're giving for people that buy puppies. I remember Deb McGrath came forward to a meeting and said, why are you charging me a full fee when I can't spay or neuter my puppy? This is really progressive, so I can't thank you enough for moving ahead with this initiative. And one of my questions is everyone doing this, or is this something new that's happening in Richmond?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, City of New Westminster does it, and then us. We're the second.
Oh, there you go, leaders once again. And then, so I'm just thrilled about that. And this is a really progressive approach to making sure that people see the benefits of spaying and neutering their dogs, which is the right thing to do anyhow. So, yeah, well done. Thank you.
All right, we'll call the question then on the motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Someone move adjournment? Okay, we're now adjourned and we'll go to the Finance Committee. Finance Committee open. May I have a motion on the minutes? Moved and seconded. Errors or omissions? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Financial information for the second quarter. Someone want to move it? Moved and seconded. Is there anything, Jerry, is there anything to add to it?
Nothing further to add.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Liu.
Thank you. Through you to staff. Is everyone muted? So thank you for this, and obviously we're in a good financial position. I'm curious about the planning and development. I see we have a $1.3 million, we have a surplus anyway, and when I read into the reasoning behind it, there's a couple of different reasons. And I have been hearing from some people out in the community about long wait times for things like business permits and building permits. So building licenses, or sorry, business licenses and building permits. So I'm wondering what we can do to improve these processes, or what we may need to do to support this.
Go ahead. Who? Community Services. Who? Joe?
Address
Okay,
that
go
to
ahead.
Councillor Liu. We actually brought a report, a comprehensive assessment through Planning Committee 2 months ago that indicated for the rezoning and building permit, and I can't speak for the business licenses, that our service level is actually very good, and I'd be happy to recirculate that report. However, a lot of these applications are dependent on applicants performing to a certain level, providing certain information. So any time that you hear a concern or complaint, I would encourage you to bring it to me or to the staff in that area, because often the delays are due to factors other than city staffing. We do have some initiatives, though, that we're currently working on. A complete redesign of the application process and management, where the city is spending about $500,000 on the tools that we use, and that will pay dividends in terms of efficiency. But I would say that at this point in time, in my assessment, resources and funding is not an impediment to service level. So I would say, and I just finally, I would add though that although it looks as if there is a surplus, and there is, you have to also keep in mind that some of that revenue will be appropriated into subsequent years because the work will actually be done in subsequent years and it has to be carried forward. So at the end of the year, the surplus may not be what you're seeing now.
Okay, Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. First of all, commend staff for the report and the information. I'm assuming that this report and the financial information goes onto our web. I think it's very valuable information that the public have access to. So I'm assuming it goes as part of the report. But is any of the report sort of highlighted as financial information out there from the city?
Who can
Through your worship to Councillor McNulty, yes, all the quarter financial information reports are posted to the website.
Okay, but I think this particular section is very apropos for the public. So good job, well done, and keep up the good work on that one. I do want to follow up on Councillor Liu's comment, not about development applications, but business licenses. I had an experience during the summer to bring somebody in for a business license, had all the documentation, et cetera, down at the front desk, and then was told it'll take 4 to 6 weeks for a business license. And I sort of said, what? You mean you can't type one up now if everything is in order? And we're told, well, there's a backlog. So I'm wondering if we can have a referral to staff to examine the process of obtaining a business license and a checklist. I found that absolutely incredible. It takes 6 weeks to get a business license if you're coming in. Now, if it's incomplete, the application isn't, et cetera, like the other one, fine. I have no problem with that. Some of them may take 4 to 6 weeks or never get. But if it's a simple business license, I think, and if like I said, if it's staffing, I think that request should be coming to us so that we can deal with it right away.
All
So
right.
I don't know who can answer it, and I don't even know who's in charge of business licenses.
Let's just finish off the debate on the financial information, then we can have that referral.
Okay.
Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. Well, that's great. It's always nice to see a surplus, so thank you very much for the report. Is there any shovel-ready mini projects that we could maybe fast-track before the weather turns and make use of some of that money?
Who would like to comment on that? I mean, we have, okay. Not muted. Go ahead.
No, thank
John?
you, Your Worship. Yes, through you to Councillor Day. Certainly with our entire capital program as it has been approved by council in previous years, we are going full tilt. And the weather affords us the opportunity to keep a lot of these projects on schedule and all on budget. The timeline that we have to design projects, get them in the approval process, and then bring them before council for approval wouldn't allow us to add anything in the time frame right now for this weather period. But we are taking full advantage of that and yielding benefits in the approved capital program as it sits.
Right. I mean, and given, people shouldn't be surprised that we've got a surplus because we can't have a deficit. By law, we can't have a deficit. So it's always going to be at least a small surplus. All right, so I'll call the question then on the staff recommendation on the financial information. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And Councillor McNulty, you want to make a referral for staff to just hang on a sec. it'd be looking at the process and the timeline for the issuance of business licenses and report to committee.
And back to committee to hopefully how we can speed it up.
Right. Okay, so that's a motion. Is it seconded? Okay, so it's moved and seconded. Further discussion on that? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Brings us to the active capital projects.
Good job.
Someone want to move it?
So moved.
Moved and seconded.
Job.
Any discussion on the capital projects? Okay, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Q2 financial information for Lulu Island Energy Company.
Move the recommendation.
Moved and seconded. Did you have something to add to the report? Okay, and we're not seeing any questions, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And then for the Oval, again, the second quarter.
Move the recommendation.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anything to add? Nothing further to add. Rick, okay. No questions, so we'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried.
Move adjournment.
And we're now adjourned.